Today's writing question is: some people believe that advertising encourages us to buy things that we really do not need. Others think that advertisements tell us about new products that may improve our lives. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Here is a Band 9 model essay on this topic. Listen carefully to how each idea is developed, because the breakdown that follows will show you exactly how to write at this level. If you are new here, subscribe now. This channel will help you improve your IELTS band score. Advertising, which surrounds consumers in virtually every public and digital space, provokes sharply divided opinions. While some argue that it manipulates people into purchasing things they do not truly need, others maintain that it performs a genuine service by connecting buyers with products that can enrich their lives. In my view, advertising is more often a mechanism of manipulation than of genuine assistance, though its value depends significantly on the industry and the honesty of its claims. Those who criticize advertising argue, with considerable justification, that its primary function is not to inform, but to engineer desire. Through the selective use of aspirational imagery, celebrity endorsement, and psychological pricing, advertisers do not merely present a product but construct an identity around it, one that consumers are encouraged to purchase along with the item itself. A person who buys a luxury watch is rarely buying timekeeping. They are buying the status and self-image that the campaign has meticulously assembled. This manufactured desire leads many consumers to spend beyond their means on goods that add little practical value to their lives, generating financial strain and contributing to a culture of disposability in which products are discarded almost as soon as they are acquired. Proponents of advertising, however, contend that it serves a legitimate informational role, particularly when genuinely new or beneficial products enter the market. Medical devices, energy-efficient appliances, and nutritional supplements that carry verified health benefits might never reach the people who need them without targeted advertising campaigns. For a consumer managing a chronic illness, an advertisement that introduces a new treatment option could be genuinely life-changing. In sectors where innovation moves rapidly, advertising functions as a necessary bridge between the producer and a public that would otherwise remain unaware of options that could meaningfully improve their daily lives. Nevertheless, the distinction between informing and manipulating is rarely as clean as advertising's defenders suggest. Even advertisements for genuinely useful products routinely overstate benefits, obscure risks, and exploit psychological vulnerabilities to close a sale. The problem, therefore, is not simply what is being advertised, but how the advertising is conducted. If advertisements were held to strict standards of truthfulness and transparency, the case for their social value would be far stronger. Until that standard is consistently enforced, the manipulative tendencies of the industry will continue to outweigh its informational benefits for the average consumer. In conclusion, while advertising can in theory alert people to products that genuinely serve their needs, the dominant practice of manufacturing desire, rather than meeting it, means that its net effect on consumer behavior is more harmful than helpful. Stronger regulatory oversight, rather than a rejection of advertising altogether, offers the most realistic path toward making it a force for genuine benefit. Now let us go through this essay section by section so you can see exactly what is happening at the Band 9 level. The introduction does three things simultaneously. It opens with a noun phrase that places the topic immediately in a real-world context, telling the reader where advertising actually exists. It then presents both views fairly in a single sentence, which keeps the introduction tight rather than padding it with obvious observations. The final sentence states a clear, committed opinion that goes beyond simply choosing a side. It acknowledges that context matters, which is the kind of nuanced thinking that separates a Band 9 response from a Band 7-1. Notice that the writer does not say, "I will discuss both views." The position is stated directly, and the essay is trusted to demonstrate it. The first body paragraph opens with a cause and effect framing. The word engineer in the phrase engineer desire is doing significant work here. It signals that the writer understands advertising as a deliberate system, not merely a collection of individual messages. The paragraph then moves from mechanism to example, using the luxury watch as a concrete illustration of an abstract point. The sentence that follows the example, which explains what is actually being purchased, is the most important sentence in the paragraph. It prevents the paragraph from becoming a list of complaints and instead locates the argument at the level of psychology. The paragraph closes with two consequences: financial strain and a culture of disposability, each of which is named precisely rather than described vaguely. The second body paragraph presents the opposing view with genuine strength, which is essential in a discuss both views question. A weak or dismissive treatment of the opposing argument signals to the examiner that the writer does not fully understand the topic. Here, 3 specific product categories are named: medical devices, energy-efficient appliances, and nutritional supplements with verified health benefits. The word verified is critical because it anticipates the counter-argument that follows. The paragraph then uses a conditional sentence to demonstrate how advertising can have a direct and significant positive impact on an individual's life, making the argument emotionally as well as logically compelling. If this is already clearer than what you have been writing, hit the like button. It helps me grow the channel and produce better videos for you. The opinion paragraph is where many candidates lose marks because they either repeat the introduction or offer a weak concession. This essay does neither. It opens by identifying a flaw in the logic of the defending argument, specifically that the line between informing and manipulating is not clean in practice. The paragraph then reframes the entire debate. Instead of asking whether advertising is good or bad, it asks whether advertising is conducted honestly or deceptively. That reframe moves the argument forward rather than restating it. The paragraph ends by identifying a condition under which the defending view would be more persuasive, which is a highly sophisticated, argumentative move. The conclusion does not simply repeat the introduction. It synthesizes the argument by combining the essay's central tension into a single sentence and then adds something new, a specific proposal. By naming regulatory oversight as the solution, the writer demonstrates that the argument has been thought through to its practical implications. The phrase, "a force for genuine benefit," echoes the language of the body, but gives it a forward-looking rather than a retrospective meaning. Now let us look at vocabulary. The word aspirational in the phrase aspirational imagery is far more precise than positive images or attractive images. It names the psychological mechanism rather than merely describing the surface appearance. Meticulously assembled in reference to a marketing campaign captures the deliberate and careful craft involved, which reinforces the idea that desire is engineered rather than natural. The phrase culture of disposability condenses a complex social phenomenon into 3 words and will signal immediately to an examiner that the writer has both conceptual depth and lexical control. Overstate benefits and obscure risks are a precise parallel pair that work together to describe the 2 faces of deceptive advertising without requiring extra explanation. Finally, regulatory oversight is the kind of precise, domain-appropriate phrase that demonstrates familiarity with the real-world discussion around advertising. moving the essay beyond student generalizations into the register of informed public debate. Now let us look at grammar. The first structure to note is the non-defining relative clause. The essay opens with advertising, which surrounds consumers in virtually every public and digital space, provokes sharply divided opinions. The clause, which surrounds consumers in virtually every public and digital space, is set off by commas and adds contextual information without changing the meaning of the main clause. This is a confident and accurate use of a non-defining relative clause that signals grammatical control from the very first sentence. The second structure is the complex noun phrase with post-modification. In the sentence, one that consumers are encouraged to purchase along with the item itself, the noun phrase is built around the head noun one, which is then modified by the relative clause that follows. This creates a dense, information-rich structure typical of high-level academic writing. The third structure is the passive construction. In the sentence, the problem, therefore, is not simply what is being advertised, but how the advertising is conducted. Two passives appear: what is being advertised and how the advertising is conducted. These passives are used deliberately to shift focus from the advertiser as agent to the act of advertising itself, which is precisely the argument being made at that point in the essay. The fourth structure is the fronted adverbial. The essay uses, through the selective use of aspirational imagery, celebrity endorsement, and psychological pricing, as a fronted prepositional phrase at the beginning of a body paragraph sentence. Placing this phrase before the main clause creates emphasis and variety, and it also foregrounds the mechanism before naming its effect. The fifth structure is the conditional sentence. In the opinion paragraph, the essay uses, if advertisements were held to strict standards of truthfulness and transparency, the case for their social value would be far stronger. This is a second conditional, using the past subjunctive were held and the modal would be, which signals that the writer is describing a hypothetical rather than a current reality. This is a structurally and semantically accurate use of the conditional that demonstrates genuine grammatical range. The sixth structure is the concessive clause. The essay uses, while some argue that it manipulates people into purchasing things they do not truly need, others maintain that it performs a genuine service. The subordinating conjunction while introduces a concessive relationship, holding two contrasting ideas in a single sentence without making either seem dismissive of the other. So what makes this essay Band 9? It is not the vocabulary alone, and it is not the grammar alone. What makes it Band 9 is that every part of the essay is doing argumentative work. The introduction commits to a position. The body paragraphs develop causal mechanisms rather than listing opinions. The opinion paragraph advances the argument rather than restating it. The conclusion proposes a solution rather than summarizing what has already been said. At every level, from the individual word choice to the paragraph-level structure, the essay is moving forward. That is what Band 9 writing looks like, and that is exactly what you need to replicate in your own IELTS essay. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.